You were back at Hit the X Reloads with Dean. This is pre-class episode number 3, picking neck bushing and expander mandrel. There is important information here for learning how to make the right choice and considerations of brass properties and springback. This channel's companion website, hitthexreloads.com/file downloads, also has the file Picking Neck Bushing and Expander Mandrel in PDF format. Now, it has been brought to my attention that my great subscribers have not been getting notifications when I post a new video. I have all the settings correct on my end, but apparently subscribers have to set it up on their end also. I am going to include the steps in this video and also a not receiving notifications when new videos released document also on my website, hitthexreloads.com/file downloads. I apologize for this problem, but let's give it a try and see if you get notifications or not. Remember to subscribe below to keep up to date on what I am doing, hopefully. So let's jump right into this. Thanks for joining me and hope to see you soon. Alright, here we go. This video will be a little bit longer than my ones I've made so far because this is a very important subject here and it's hard to catch on to sometimes. So right off the bat, I have to tell you this is all based on annealing your brass every time you reload it. This is very important and it has to be done. Now, secondly, it's also imperative that you download the document Picking Neck Bushing and Expander from my website, hitthexreloads.com/file downloads. You'll need that to go through with this. Now, another thing I want to show you is I use these Short Action Customs modular sizing die because this is the best I have had out of dozens. So this die has the expander mandrel and the neck bushing in it. As you see, I'll unscrew it. This is the expander mandrel. And let me show you that better. You tip this over and here's your neck bushing. Now these bushings are unique to anybody's kind of bushing, is they have a neck shoulder in them and their diameter is very tapered a little more where it first hits the shell, so you're not trying to crush your neck into it. So that's how this works. You take whatever size we calculate this for, you drop it in, and you screw your mandrel down in, and that's it. You're done with that part. Now what I also want to tell you about using this type of die, the Short Action Customs modular die, is this does the operation all in one step, and in my experience that is the only way to go. You don't want to do this in two operations, like constricting your neck down first and then afterwards in another process running an expander down. First of all, you can't get the accuracy doing it that way because what happens when you are constricting your neck and then you pull it out, it's going to spring back. Maybe 1,000, maybe 2,000, maybe 3,000. We don't know that because it all depends on your type of brass and making sure you are kneeling right also. And then when you pull the expander die out, you are expanding the neck, and that's also going to have spring back inwards, okay? And we don't know if that's 0.001, 0.002. We don't know, again, depending on your brass and your annealing methods. So with this die, let's see if I can show you here. So with this die, here's your neck bushing, and here's how this goes on there. And this goes up so far so that when you're pulling this out, it's handing it off to the expander at the same time, while the neck bushing is still on there. So there's no room for the neck to expand yet until the expander mandrel gets to it, all in one operation. This is the most unique and accurate ways of doing this, and that is why I love these dies. They're just the best. So plus you're not taking your case out and then running it through another process to expand your neck, okay, with the expander mandrel. It's all done and held in exactly the same place, so there is no room for error. That's why I believe these are the only dies and the only way to go. I'm not trying to sell you short action customs equipment, but I don't know, maybe I am. I want you to get this the best that you can. So another thing to this is your case neck, okay? Your case neck, when that neck bushing hits it, okay, and contracts it, what it is doing also at the same time is pushing in all the imperfections on the inside of your neck. Unless you use something, you know, like the Autodod, you're going to have imperfections. And what that does is it pushes them into the inside, okay? And then when your expander mandrel pulls out and expands your neck, it's pushing them imperfections to the outside of your neck, which is great, which is what we want. Now that we know the fundamentals, what happens when you do this operation, what you want to do is you don't want to say, you want to move a lot of brass. You know, the more brass you move, the better. Because say if you're shrinking the outside of your neck, you know, 3/1000ths of an inch, and then you're expanding it back out 1/1000th of an inch, you're not getting much movement. You're not really taking that brass and putting it down and bringing it out. You know, you're only moving 1/1000th or something like that. The more you move, the more consistent operation you will have, okay? So that we want to move a lot of brass. And we're going to go over that next. Now that we know that, we will figure out what size neck bushing we want and then what size expander mandrel we want. It's very simple. It's a real easy operation. And the way to do it, the first thing you want to do is have the bullets that you're going to be using, okay? And take a bullet and seat it in what we're going to use as a dummy round, okay? You see, this is a bullet seated. So the first measurement you need to get with a good set of calipers, I use these mid-tutorial ones. They are great, and I don't know, maybe these are $100. You know, you got to spend some money. So what you want to do, the first measurement you want to get, let me see if I can get this right, is you want to measure with a bullet seated the outside diameter of your neck. Okay? So here we have 2685, 0.2685. Write that number down. That we're going to use to calculate your neck thickness. Okay? The second thing we want to do is your bullets that you use. I use Lapua 105. Skinners, Lapua Skinners 105. Now don't forget, I'm working on 6mm BR. This is what I'm working on. So, you want to measure your bullet diameter in the same way. Make sure you're zeroed out. And go to the body of the bullet. Okay, not down here where it's angled or anything like that. You want to go to the body of the bullet. Okay? So I've got 0.2425. Make a note of that number. Write it down as your bullet diameter. All right, so now to figure out, what you want to figure out first is your expander mandrel. Okay? We get that out of the way, and it's very simple to do. So, we already know our neck thickness, okay? And we already know our bullet diameter, okay? So now, to figure out your expander mandrel, we want to take our neck diameter, which is 0.2425. Now we want to figure out what type of neck interference we want. Now, I shoot for around 0.02 of an inch. Okay, that's me because I'm shooting an F-class rifle, which is on a stand, on a bench. Now, I'm not using a semi-automatic rifle where that thing's firing back and forth, creating all kinds of vibrations and all that. I would want a tighter neck tension. Say maybe 4 or 5 thousandths. You never really want to go over 6 because you're just overworking your brass, expanding, contracting, expanding. This, you'll end up with split necks down the road or something like that. So you don't want to do that. So we're going to go by my example of 2 thousandths. So we have our bullet diameter of 0.2425. We're going to subtract 0.002. 2 thousandths, okay? This is 10 thousandths here. This is 5 10,000ths. Now, in layman's terms, in videos down the roads and that, you're going to hear me using these figures. 10 thousandths is actually called a tenth. So you would say this in 242 and 5 tenths, okay? That's the term for 10 thousandths in machinists and all that, they use it. It's tenths. So we've got this here. We're going to subtract this. So we end up with 0.0405. Sorry. I used to know how to do math, seriously. 0.2405 inches. All right, so that's just 2 thousandths. Now, remember, we talked about when you expand something, it's going to spring back in. A minimum of 1 thousandths, okay? That's what we're going to go by here. For our spring back expansion and contraction, we're going to use 1 thousandths. So we have to take another 1 thousandths off of this. Okay? So that's going to give us 0.2395, if I have done the math right. Yes, 0.2395. So that is our expander mandrel. okay? So you can see, if you do the number, if you subtract this from this, you're going to get 3 thousandths, even though we're shooting for 2 thousandths because we've got that extra thousandths in there for spring back. Okay, does that make sense to you? It's a lot of math, I know. I love math, actually. When I was a kid, I used to do real good at it. Except I can't write it here. But, so we've got a total 0.003. That's a nice 3. So this is our expander mandrel if we want to go for 2 thousandths. Neck interference fitting. Okay, so now we're going to figure out our neck bushing size. And this is just some more simple math again. We already know our neck thickness is 0.2685. 0.2685. Now that we have that, what we want to do is use a minimum of 5 thousandths. Okay? Previously you heard me say that we want to move a lot of brass here. Okay, we want to squeeze that in good so that when we're pulling our expander mandrel out, we're moving more brass. We don't want to just a little bit. It won't show up. You're not going to have consistency or anything like that. So we want to use a minimum of 5 thousandths. So here we go again here with the math. 2685. Now, what we want to do is subtract that. So we end up with 2635 as our neck bushing size. Now, we have to take into account that spring back. It's going to spring back open a bit. Okay? So now we have to subtract another thousandth. So that gives us a final neck bushing of 0.2625. Now, they don't make bushings in 10 thousandths or 262 and 5/10. So you would get yourself either a 262 or a 263. I always measure in 10 thousandths because that's the way I am. But you don't have to be that accurate. You can round off your number. Now, if I was rounding here, I would round to the smaller. So I would get a 262, 0.262. This way you're moving a lot of brass and you want to be able to do this. After this video, I think this is the last video, then I'm going to go directly to the reloading series. And when we get to that, we'll show this operation and the expander mandrel operation. And we'll be there. But as I said in the previous video, I want to be fair to everybody that you can view this video and get a gist about what we're going to be doing so you're ahead of the ball game. Any questions, any comments, feel free to shoot them to me. And again, there is a document also on the website, hitthexreloads.com/file downloads. Because I'm having problems. Apparently people aren't getting notified of my new videos. And there's a document on there, not getting notified of new videos. Something like that. You'll see it. I want you to download that too because I have everything done right on my end. But apparently subscribers need to make sure it's done right on their end also so they're getting notified from people that they subscribe to. With that being said, I hope you found this interesting and I hope you found it informative and you learned something. And please don't forget to subscribe, and we'll be all good to go till the next video, which will be coming up in the next week. Thank you. Bye.